Hello and welcome to another CGC show. I can see lots of people saying hello and greeting one another in the chat already. I was taken to featuring that in the intro. It's a bit of fun. Hope you're all doing well. I had a really lovely experience last night when I got to go with Evita, my wife, and we actually went, ooh, mysterious door closer. We actually went down Riverside and we went and there was a live band and actual dancing between people. So, just making do with what they had to do and dancing with napkins and gloves and face masks and all that sort of stuff. But it was so nice. It was so nice to have a little bit of a reminder of that world we have to look forward to when it comes back. And man, will we appreciate it when it does. So that was a lovely experience. Just it had been a while since we'd had an experience like that. So I feel very grateful, and it made me very optimistic. So welcome to everyone. If you're new to the show, this is a show put on by Classical Guitar Corner Academy. It's an online school for classical guitar. A lot of the people that you'll be seeing seeming very familiar with one another in the chat know each other from the academy. And it's wonderful to have all of the members, but anyone else also outside of the academy. Today, oh look, Uroš is already saying hello. So our guest today is Uroš Barič, and I'm going to ask him if I'm pronouncing his name correctly, actually. But this is a musician that's actually well known already by our community and respected as a performer and a performer and a recording engineer, and also an organizer and collaborator for some of really interesting big projects that came about to great prominence during the pandemic. So we're going to be looking forward to hearing more about that. So just saying hello and just biding a little time while people come into the live stream. And also actually today we're going to try to record the session. I am recording the audio on my end, and Uroš is going to be recording it on his end. And we're going to hopefully put this on the CGC podcast as well. Oh, Sarah. Hi, Sarah. Yes, another New York City local. Great. Well, it's already 5 past, but I think I've run out of chit-chat, so we may as well give Uroš a call, seeing as he's the star of the show today. And by the way, I wanted to thank Uroš because this was a very last-minute organized interview. And sometimes, these actually happen relatively frequently, Tuesday, Thursday. So sometimes I don't have my ducks in a row in terms of guests, but I'm very grateful that he was up for the task today. Also, talking of that, we do have one lined up for October the 8th. Clarice Assad will be joining us. And not only will Clarice be joining us as a guest, but Nikki Todesco will be the interviewer. So I think we'll have her over here in the studio, also known as second bedroom. And Nikki will be interviewing Clarice. So I think that will be really interesting. So October the 8th, if you want to mark it down for something to look forward to. All right. Oh, yes. And as I often forget to say, please, if you are enjoying the show and this particular one, please hit the like wherever you are, on Facebook, on YouTube, all of that. It'll be great to show your support and help spread the word a little bit. All right, let's give Uroš a call. We can all do the Skype dance. The Skype dance involves bobbing one's head from side to side as we hear the music. We'll see how long Uroš will allow us to dance for. Oh, just forgot. Hello, are you there, Uroš?
Hello.
Hey,
Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. I'm just waiting for your image to come up, and then I will put you on the screen.
All right.
You sound great.
Awesome.
So sometimes it takes a little bit of time. We'll just see. Is your camera on and working?
It should be, I think. Mm.
It's good. It's just building up the anticipation.
Simon, is there any way I could call you back in a second, just to reestablish the connection?
Yeah. Let's just give it 10 more seconds, because sometimes it does just take a little while to come through, and then it magically does. All right, let's try again. How about you call me?
Okay, perfect. Sounds good.
Well, that's it, folks. That was a great conversation. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned a lot. Learned a lot about Skype, about technology. No, we'll see how this goes. Lots of questions. A lot of people know Uroš already, obviously, because I think there's the virtual guitar orchestra, which we'll talk about. But so this is like best show ever. Oh, hang on. Here's the get to the dance. Here we go. Hey, there you are. Hey, there. Yeah. So the old turn it off and turn it on technique is universally accepted.
Exactly, yeah.
So thank you for joining us, and welcome.
Thanks so much, Simon, and thanks for such a warm welcome. I was actually listening to the stream before you called.
Yeah, I saw you in the chat. That's great. You're totally on top of it. So, well, as I was saying, a lot of people know you already, and I wonder if actually some people may have been involved in the virtual guitar orchestra that are listening. Actually, I'm pretty sure of it, actually. But it's a lovely. It seems like it's been long overdue that we've welcomed you into this circle at Classical Guitar Corner.
Sounds great.
So I'd love to start. Oh, by the way, are you recording audio on your end already?
Yes, I am. Yeah,
Awesome.
I just double checked, but it's working properly.
Awesome. So I'd love to start hearing your story. Where did you start out as a musician, as a classical guitarist, and then how did you then get into the world of recording?
Okay, sounds good. I started playing classical guitar when I was about 9 years old, and continued all the way through elementary school and high school. In Slovenia, we're quite lucky that we have a really amazing school systems for learning instruments, because the government is funding all these programs. So music education is basically for free until you are 18 years old or something like that. So I took classes. I took guitar classes, theory classes, first in my small hometown, Sežana, which is a really small town close to the coast, and actually in the close proximity of Trieste, Italian town. I studied there for 6 years, and then enrolled to high school in Sežana as well. But then parallel to that, I was studying at the conservatory in Trieste, Italy, with Marco Ferri, who is also a brilliant guitarist, and he has already played concerts at GFA and stuff like this. So I learned a lot from him. And then when I was 18 years old, I applied to study in Vienna, and I was lucky enough that I was accepted by Alvaro Pieri, who was a great hero of mine then. And I studied with Alvaro for the following 6 years.
Yeah, I am also a huge admirer of Alvaro, and I was lucky to have some masterclasses with him in some of the festivals in Europe. I heard some stories from students of his, because he taught in, I believe, was it Montreal and Vienna, or Quebec and Vienna? I can't remember. It's Montreal, I think.
Montreal, yeah. For a while, he did both teaching at both universities. Yeah.
But I heard that the timing of the lessons could be dramatically different at different times, like when they started, how long they went, you know. It was sort of a very broad approach. Yeah.
There was no consistent schedule. You could have like a scheduled lesson at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and ended up having an actual lesson at 11 p.m. at his house.
That's great. So what were some of the things that were impactful for you as a guitarist that you took away from your time with Alvaro Pierri?
You mean later on while studying, or from the early studying?
Well, when you were working with him in Vienna.
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Well, you know, when we work with different teachers, sometimes they guide us in a certain way, or they take they teach us new approaches to music or different techniques or things. Was there anything in particular from working with him that you think that was really a gift from Alvaro, or he helped me in this way in particular?
Yeah, okay, perfect. I get it now. Yeah, absolutely. The first year was a little bit overwhelming for me because of all the new information, and a certain way you need to adapt and learn all kinds of new techniques, and it's stressful at times. So it was really hard first year. But then I learned that you could pick, like gold nuggets from different professors and combine them into something meaningful together. It doesn't mean that the way you will be doing things during your study years, it will be like this forever. But you have to learn as much as possible, basically. But I think the aspect that I learned the most from is musicality from Alvaro, I would say. Musicality and melody line and leading the voices. So, for example, I learned from him that everything must be adapted to the music. Not because something is hard, you're allowed not to play it like that. No, you should do everything you can in your power for the music to come through. And also another thing I learned that was very valuable for me is that you have to exaggerate. Anything you do, you have to exaggerate, because otherwise it won't translate. You might feel it while playing yourself and practicing and even playing on concerts, but it may not be enough to come through to the last row of the audience. So
absolutely,
those are a few things.
Yeah, and what was the musical life for you like in Vienna?
That was awesome from many different angles, basically. So first off, we were able to hear the best musicians alive in Musikverein or Konzerthaus, for example, and they had this system that if you were a student, you had really cheap tickets to all the concerts. It might be a standing spot. Sometimes not. If there was not enough people, you could sit down. But being able to hear the best pianists alive and the best orchestra, like Lucerne Festival Orchestra or Berliner Philharmoniker, on a weekly basis, this was just amazing and incredible to me. And I also like that the study program, it contained a lot of different subjects, and it was quite dense, but in a sense you always had enough time to practice and even travel sometimes, visit concerts. So it was really enriching experience, and it was now looking back at it, those were really special years of my life. So,
and that was, really did you say it was 6 years there?
6 years, plus I did another extra year because I didn't really know how to proceed my life, and so I decided to stay one more year and study lute there.
Oh, really?
And I did that. Yeah, I did. And I did that with Luciano Contini, who's also one of my musical heroes. So it was also a very nice experience. But then I decided to proceed my career as a guitarist, and also I started teaching at a primary music school in Slovenia.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
So, where in that process as a student during that time, did you already have an interest in recording audio and some of the projects you've done now?
Yeah, I would say my interest in recording started right about the beginning of my Vienna studies. So when I was about 19 years old, I decided that I want to try a little bit experimenting with that, because a few years back, so even before arriving to Vienna, I had a somewhat stressful situation, somewhat stressful experience with recording in a big recording studio. I think I won a prize at a regional guitar competition at some point, and then the prize was actually recording at the national radio studio. So there was this massive hall, and I was alone in that hall recording, and I could see people behind the glass staring at me. And then also at the top of the room there was a huge red light sign saying recording or on air or something like this. I don't know. I don't remember. But it was really stressful for me on one side. But on the other side, it was also fascinating. The whole process of being able to record a sound into a computer and then being able to adapt it, edit it, and mix it, that was really fascinating to me. And by that time, I was not very savvy in terms of technology or even using the computer. I was just an average teenager, or let's say a young student. And then just learning by doing, and mostly learning by doing mistakes in the following years, it was when I learned the most, basically.
Well, I thought this might be a nice opportunity now to, since we talked about your studies and time as you developed as a musician, and a little bit about the beginnings of your recording, maybe we can share this performance of you playing Chopin. Is it Nocturne number 9? Is that what it is?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So, and just a heads up for you, Uroš, your sound will still keep coming out through the...
Okay.
So in the middle of the video, if you feel like it's like, oh, that was terrible, I don't want it, like that will also be broadcast.
Okay. I will go to mute then.
Okay. All right. Let me just line this up. I've actually never told anyone else about the fact that comes through, but it's never been a problem. But I just thought I'd start mentioning it.
You thought I was the type.
Yeah, right. All right. Just a moment. Here we go. I have to applaud on behalf of everyone out there who I know is applauding right now. It's beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, lots of well, you're probably seeing the chat, but lots of compliments and superlatives describing your playing and the recording. So let's delve into that recording side a bit more now, because it is really phenomenal. The video and the audio and obviously the playing, it also all gets combined. But how did you then get from what you described as being someone who was average and didn't understand what was going on in that recording experience to now really being quite a masterful recording engineer?
I think one thing led to another, and I think I was quite lucky in a sense that I even though I was already 20 years old, it was quite early in the sense of YouTube and starting to share things online. And the best way to describe it is it was just learning by doing and doing the mistakes that I did at the beginning. And then when I published my first recordings, then a few of my friends started to ask me if I could record them as well. And I learned a ton doing those projects that weren't really paid projects, but I learned so much. And yeah, and also, I mean, when you start doing a new craft, basically, you do a lot of mistakes, and you're not aware of them yet. So it's a slow development. When I first started doing the recordings, I borrowed some mics and a really cheap interface. And that's how most people start. And it's how it should be, because if you start with already great gear, you don't know how to get the best out of it. But if you start with affordable things, and then while you train your ear, move to the more expensive stuff, it's a much better development. It's similar to guitar. Nobody starts playing guitar on a Daman, probably. I mean, some people do, but but it's better to do a natural progression, and that's how I felt my recording path was. First, very slow and unsure, and the recordings were not great at all. But then in a few years, my ear developed a little bit, and especially the style and aesthetic of what I wanted to achieve. And then you're after a few years of experience, you start to close that gap from what you want to achieve and what you're actually doing. So I think that's just a very slow, steady process.
What are some examples of what changes? Is it learning about mic placement? Is it talking about post-production? Is it the acoustic space? What kind of things, just for people that might be interested in what that looks like, that path, what kind of things happen along the way?
Yeah, it's a little bit of everything, I would say, but it starts from microphone positioning. And a really important thing I learned is that a lot of young people think everything is to do with how good the equipment is, But it's similar with guitar playing. I'm sure you've heard comments like, I don't know, you've played a wonderful concert, people were really happy about it, and somebody says, oh wow, the sound was so wonderful, your guitar must be amazing, But it's not in the guitar, it's rarely the case, it's always in the fingers. And with recording, I feel like it's not about the equipment as well. It's in how you use it and the tricks you learn on the way. So first off, setting the right microphone positioning is very important. And of course, you try first to mic it in a way that makes the guitar sound really boomy, and then learn how to get around it and things like this. And then also, how many microphones do you want to use? How can you learn to take advantage of the room you're recording in? Sometimes we are trying to record too close to the guitar, and then you don't get any of that beautiful reverberation of the room. Sometimes you're getting too far from the guitar, and then you're only hearing the room noise and some hissing tones. And so you always have to capture a good balance. And recording classical guitar is, I feel, very, very tricky. It's similar to piano. It's one of the hardest instruments. In a way, it's so intimate and personal, and we have such direct contact with the strings. It's not just the fingers, how the fingers move, it's also the shape of the nails, the situation, how good the nails are that day. It's a combination of 1,000 different things, and it's almost impossible to replicate any guitar sound you're making at that point. So that makes it very, very difficult for guitar for recording. And I feel like coming from guitar, it becomes easier to record other instruments and orchestras and ensembles and things like this. So if you once you get good at recording guitar, I think your door is wide open. You can record almost anything you can imagine.
Oh, that's good to know. What is the space that you record in that we often see in your videos?
So that's my current studio, recording studio. It's all in one room, basically, and it's situated near the coast. It's not where my family lives now, but it's actually in the cellar of my parents' house, and they let me use all the rooms there. And I have an apartment available for guests that come from abroad. And then we do all the creative work in that orangey looking room that is often in many videos, not just mine, but also from my clients. And that's the studio I've been working in for the past 10 years. But my family and I, we are actually looking for a house now. So we're looking to migrate the studio as well, probably early next year. So I'm really excited about that.
Can we look forward to another color, or are you going to keep it the same because we identify it with your videos?
No, I hate that color. No, I mean it feels good when you're recording. So it's a warm and cozy space. It's more like it's almost like it feels like home, basically, to everybody that comes there for a few days and is recording. Everybody says that it feels really cozy and nice and warm. But the problem for me became color grading, because if you have a background that is too similar to your skin tones, it's almost impossible to get a pleasing image. And even if you get the skin colors right, then it's a problem with the background, and vice versa.
Yeah, things you don't think about when painting the walls to start off with.
Yeah. So the next studio will be probably more in the shades between. It will be more multifunctional, more improved for workflows for both YouTube production, course production, and making short videos, but then also making album promos. So it will have a lot of different spaces in one, and the shades will be from white to dark gray, probably.
That's exciting. Yes, a wall at 18% gray would be great for white balance.
Yeah.
One last question about this recording world of yours before we talk maybe about the virtual guitar orchestra is what does it look like for you now? Well, I guess I want to ask about your now business as a recording engineer, because you've worked with a lot of great players. Matthew McAllister, you mentioned Renee Esquerdo the other day, and a lot of people come to you from all over Europe, and I would assume from other countries outside of Europe as well. And what does it look like for you as running that business? And like you said, you're busy through 2021 at the moment. And also, what just for the people listening, what does the experience look like and feel like for someone to come and work with you?
So I will assume that I don't know the customer yet. So and that's how it usually happens. I get an email asking if I was available in the next few months to record a project, how much it would cost. That's always the first question. And how does it work with me? And then we start basically a friendly relationship. That's how it all goes about every single time. So we exchange a lot of friendly emails about the details. I'm always interested in their goals from the very beginning. And a lot of my friends, customers, I don't know how to call them really, because we are really friends and almost like a family. So the way it usually ends up being is that they decide for all-enclosing production. So, which means recording the CD, and I also edit the CD, and I also produce the CD, meaning that I give some kind of arts input, so to speak, and give suggestions while recording. Then I do the editing, audio mixing, audio mastering, everything up to the point that we send the project off to print. And I almost always do the graphic design as well, website, and a promotional video as well. So it's all in one packages. That's how I work most of the times.
And with your workflow, what kind of timeline? I'm fishing for the answer you told us about someone yesterday. What's some of the longest timelines is taken to make an album?
But it has all. I mean, in some rare occasions, it has lasted over a year to do it.
Wow!
Yeah, over a year, but with many breaks in between. You know, it's not so linear. It's not. Usually, I work on 3 to 4 different projects at once. Now at this point, I'm working on 4 CD productions and 1 official virtual guitar orchestra project.
Well, that makes a nice segue.
Okay.
I'm wondering if maybe we should play the video first and then talk about it afterwards. What do you think?
Yeah. I think it's a great idea. Yeah.
So we're going to dive in the deep end here. And if you don't know about this project, you're in for a very nice surprise right now. So just a moment. I have to clap again because I know people are out there clapping. Wow, I mean, it's epic on so many levels. It's from the collaborative efforts to the production efforts to the timing of it also was very meaningful, I feel, to a lot of people. So start us out. Tell us, where did the inception of this project come from?
So the idea for the project came from my good friend Mark Grgic, who is also a co-creator of the project. He's also a very good guitarist, and we know each other from the years in Vienna, because he also studied a few years with Alvaro there. And he approached me with this idea of trying to build a community-driven project that we could call a virtual guitar orchestra, for example, or something else. We didn't know at that point. That would allow or enable amateur guitarists and students alike from all over the world to be able to play along their guitar heroes. And our idea was that we approach one of the most amazing composers of our time, Sergio Assad, to write a special piece just for that project, and then invite some of the best guitarists out there to perform solos, basically, for that project, and then also open submissions to everybody that wants to join in online. And that idea came even before the pandemic came, but then it was in March that we started seriously considering it, because people were staying at home. It was kind of a sad situation, of course, but for the first time ever, I think all these great artists were all at home with their families because of all the tours and concerts canceled. So we tried to build like a platform very, very fast in 1 or 2 weeks, website and a way for registrations, and it was done all very fast. And we got a yes from most of the most incredible players in the world. So we were so thrilled about that. And also the response from the amateur players and professional players, of course, and students, guitarists from all over the world, it was just amazing, and we were able to fill all the spots very, very fast.
So how many people in total contributed to their playing to the project? And probably different for the first to the second, because there's been a second iteration and now a third is coming. But in that first one, how many people were involved?
Oh, you're asking me
too much. Ballpark. It doesn't have to be exact.
I think the first one was 144 altogether. And the second one was a project, Science, Safe and Sane, also a brand new piece by Sergio Assad. And that one was with 200 members, so even bigger. But it took a little bit too long to edit. I needed a bit, maybe 5 to 6 weeks.
I can't even begin to imagine. So did you do all the video arrangement as well, the editing of the video?
Yeah, absolutely everything.
Because you've got so much free time on your hands.
Yes,
yeah, that's why.
Something like that.
No, it's amazing. And I mean, I think people have been commenting that are listening, it's such a very meaningful to people, I think, and a really great contribution to the community at large. It is a small community and a very tight community. Sometimes I think it's increasingly feeling like that with the internet, but also if you go through to festivals, it's just it's like having a shared nationality. And this was a really wonderful synthesis of all of that. And I don't think anyone could watch it without a smile coming onto their face. It's really a beautiful project. So thank you to you and to Mac for heading up that.
Oh, thanks for the beautiful comment. Yeah, I think for us the big surprise, the most beautiful thing that came out of it was the amazing comments coming from people, especially from our members, playing in the orchestra, reading how much it meant to them, the whole project, and not just being able to play along their guitar heroes, but it was more like a family event. It was like a great classical guitar party, so to say.
Very nice. Well, we're coming towards the end of the hour, and I do want to give some people the chance to ask some questions. But lastly, could you tell us, I'm going to play a recording of your arrangement. Could you tell us a bit about this arrangement and the arrangements that you do?
Of course, yeah. Some people, I know some people also in the chat room already, and they might know some of my arrangements already, but in any way, I try to do arrangements of not only classical works adapted for classical guitar, but I also like popular music. I like jazz. I like fingerstyle music. I like all these kinds of additional genres, and I especially love improvisation. So in the past few years, I started publishing scores of some of really well-known songs out there, and one of them that we will hear today is actually a video that wasn't viewed so many times, but I'm really proud of it. It's called A Million Dreams, and it's a quite well-known song from the movie The Greatest Showman, and it's sung by Pink, but I adapted it for classical guitar. And the basis of the video is actually footage from our family vacation to Scotland last year. And this happened right after Classical Guitar Retreat, which is a lovely festival organized by Matthew McAllister. And after that, we, my wife, my daughter, and I went on a trip to Outer Hebrides, which is a bunch of islands in Scotland, from Lewis Harris to Uist to Benbecula and all the way to Barra in the south. And while traveling, I took a lot of shots, video shots, and then I compiled them into this hopefully meaningful video that I did. So I hope you enjoy this little video.
Great, we'll have a listen. Great, beautiful music and footage. That's I think that was the place that inspired Mendelssohn for his overture, the Hebrides. I would assume. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe
I
the
think
same
so.
place.
Yeah. Mhm.
Oh, that's great. So, well, thank you so much for sharing your story and your music and your playing. It's been really nice to get to know you a bit better. I did want to open up. Well, actually, before we do that, because we're recording this for the podcast, where can people find you online?
So you can visit me on all social media, basically. Just write in my name, Uroš Barič, UROS BARIC. And I have a personal website that is frequently updated, uroshbaric.com. And you can also find me on my record label, barosrecords.com. And YouTube, basically. I'm very active on YouTube, so my YouTube channel is youtube.com/classicalguitar2.
Who's number one?
I don't know. I never checked.
Well, thank you. It's been a real pleasure. Now, I do want to, I know a lot of questions were coming in, and I apologize to the people writing the questions because we're recording this maybe to put on the podcast. I didn't want to sort of jump in and out of the chat for that reason. But if you want to write your questions again, maybe, and we are at the end of the hour, so we might only be able to take one or two. But I'm just going back to the chat to see. Okay, there were a couple of questions before. Well, I think it was Parashad that wanted to hear more about your lute experience with the lute. So what did you learn from that year studying the lute, and how has that impacted your music now?
Well, I always loved Renaissance and Baroque music, so that's what led me to start. But what I learned is that lute is not an easy instrument. It's actually very difficult, and I studied the sort of Renaissance lute, which is a little bit closer for us guitarists in terms of relative tuning. But most of all, I discovered some new repertoire that I didn't know existed. Like Giovanni Zamboni, for example, that I also arranged for classical guitar, and Kapsberger, composers like this. That's what I learned, basically. So a little bit the basics of playing the lute. I came nowhere near to the level of my guitar playing, but it was enough to get me interested in that repertoire and learning more. That's always my goal, to learn as much as possible in many different fields.
Yeah, very nice. Well, I haven't seen more questions coming in, so we might end with the last one, which is always a question, which I know that you said people ask, but and maybe anyway, for whatever reasoning, what guitar do you play, Uroš? Well, what guitar was on the Chopin recording?
So the Chopin recording and also the last one that you showed was both a classical guitar hand-built by Michele della Giustina, who is just an incredible person, a good friend of mine. He's an Italy-based luthier who has been building guitars for many, many years now, and he has quite a large market, especially in Italy and Japan. And he builds wonderful instruments. I bought that instrument used when I was in high school already, but somehow none of other guitars I've tried has matched that kind of character and color that I'm looking for in a guitar. It's actually a double top guitar, but there are no artificial materials used. So there is no bracing, no carbon bracing, no honeycomb, nothing in between. It's just wood. It's so inside the guitar on top there is a layer of spruce, then a layer of balsa to glue both surfaces together, And then outside on top, we have a nice layer of cedar. And the sides and back are made from beautiful Brazilian rosewood, and the neck is made of cedrela odorata. I don't know how to say. It's not mahogany, but it's sort of similar wood.
Right. Well, I'm sure I can't remember who asked that question exactly, but I know it was in there. I saw it in there at one point. Well, we might wrap it up there because it's at the end of the hour, but thank you so much. It's been a real pleasure. And yeah, I'm sure we'll hear many more things from you in the future.
Thanks so much, Simon. It was a great pleasure to talk to you and also to get to know your amazing community, all these nice people in the chat room.
Yeah, they're all right.
Okay.
All right. Have a good night and thank you very much.
Good night. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Ciao.
Well, what a pleasure. That was really lovely to get to talk to Uroš, get to know him better. It's funny, we can learn quite a lot about people through their videos and seeing what we can see online. But yeah, someone made a comment about, let me see. Yeah, here we go. John said, Uroš's personality is as nice as his playing. And I was just thinking that towards the end. I thought, he's, I mean, that last piece was very calm and, but there's a, yeah, I agree, John. That's what I'm trying to say. So wonderful. Thank you, everyone. I'll be back next Tuesday. We'll be doing a learning session. And then next Thursday, I'll see if I can line up another guest. Maybe I won't leave it so last minute this time. It's been a pleasure. So thank you, everyone. And I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.